Hello everyone, welcome to the Mysterious Stories channel, where you'll discover the most mysterious, scary, and fascinating stories. Make sure to turn up the volume and get ready for a spine-chilling experience you won't forget. Today, we'll talk about a chilling tale, the encounter with a vampire bat deep in the jungle. This story takes place back in 1987. At that time, I was serving as a border patrol soldier. My unit was assigned a mission in the jungle, but we ended up getting lost deep within it and couldn't find our way out for several days. The entire event started on the third evening after our unit had been wandering aimlessly in the dense forest. We decided to set up camp near a small stream that we stumbled upon, a perfect spot to rest. That evening, I felt the need to relieve myself, so I walked about 100 meters away from our camp into the woods to do my business. While I was attending to nature's call, I suddenly heard strange noises from up in the trees. It sounded like two people, a man and a woman, having a conversation above me. At first, I thought it must be some enemies, so I drew my knife and hid, trying to listen carefully. But the more I listened, the less sense it made. I couldn't understand the language they were speaking, but it sounded like a man and a woman chanting some sort of incantation. As I continued to eavesdrop, a leech suddenly bit me on the neck, causing me to jump and step on a dry branch, making a loud crack. The voices stopped immediately. Moments later, some twigs and leaves fell from above. Without hesitation, I pulled out my pistol and fired 5 rounds into the tree above me. As I fired, I heard a woman scream, followed by the sound of something heavy crashing down. In that instant, I saw what appeared to be human legs transform into something resembling the wings of a giant bat. Startled, my comrades rushed over to me, shining their flashlights up the tree where I had been firing. What they saw sent chills down their spines. A giant bat, about 3 meters in size, flying away, 2 of them, to be exact. A few soldiers moved closer to the base of the tree and found dark blood with a foul stench smeared all over the bark. One of the soldiers whispered, "That must have been a vampire bat." I was sure I had hit it with all 5 shots, but it didn't die. We were all silent. I ordered everyone to return to camp immediately. Once back, I called aside the soldier who mentioned the vampire bat and asked him how he knew. He told me that he had encountered such creatures before while trekking deep into the jungle. He explained that they were the result of dark rituals where a shaman would fuse an animal's soul with a human's, creating a powerful and deadly creature, much like the legendary Werediger. These beings were used to eliminate intruders in their territory. I asked him, "How can we know when we've left its territory?" He answered, "I don't know, sir." I thought back to the eerie silence in the jungle, no sounds of wildlife, not even insects chirping. I ordered the men to take turns standing guard throughout the night. At around 2 a.m., I heard the strange noises again, this time much closer, within our camp's vicinity. The full moon was shining brightly that night, and I could see the figure of a woman standing on top of a tree, about 50 meters from our camp. I quickly nudged the sergeant beside me and pointed at the figure. He saw it too. But then, the woman's figure suddenly rose into the air, transforming into a monstrous shape before flying away behind the thick trees. I realized we were in serious trouble. I ordered all soldiers to prepare their weapons, then went back to the soldier who knew about the vampire bat. "If we shoot it, will it die?" I asked. "Probably not, sir. It might only be temporarily slowed down," he replied. "Is there any way to kill it?" I pressed. "There is one way, sir. You need to use a bamboo spear dipped in coconut water and pierce it through the heart," he answered after a moment of thought. Hearing this gave me a glimmer of hope. I immediately dispatched some men to cut bamboo and find coconuts. But to our surprise, every coconut we found was dry. Inside there was no water at all. All we could do was sharpen the bamboo sticks and keep them close for protection. We spent the rest of the night on high alert, but nothing happened. As dawn broke, we quickly packed up and tried to find our way out of the jungle. But it seemed like the more we walked, the deeper we went. Our food supplies were running low, and we were all exhausted. As the sun reached its peak, we decided to take a short break. While the others rested, I scouted the area and stumbled upon two old men, each carrying a shotgun slung over their shoulders. As soon as they saw us, they headed straight toward our group. My soldiers raised their rifles, ready to fire, but one of the old men shouted, "Hold your fire, we're here to help you out of this forest." As we cautiously navigated through the dense jungle, a sudden voice called out, "Do you realize you've wandered into a forbidden zone?" Startled, I ordered my men to lower their weapons, and I approached the two elderly men who had spoken. "Who are you, and how did you find us here, and where exactly are we?" I asked. One of the elders responded, "Did you encounter the ghost bats yet?" I nodded. "Yes, I did. I shot at one 5 times yesterday, but it wasn't affected at all." The old man chuckled. "Ordinary bullets won't harm it. You need bullets made from the bones of 7 different cemeteries. What brings you so deep into this forest?" "We came to guide you out and to deal with that ghost bat," they said. "Where are you from?" I asked. "It doesn't matter where we came from. Just know we're here to help." I then inquired about the ghost bat, asking where it came from and how it got here. The elder explained, "It's a ghost bat from a cursed sorcerer who broke a sacred rule and turned into a demon. The bat possesses people, turning them into its hosts." "How many bats did you see?" "2, I replied. The old man seemed surprised. "You're fortunate to have survived. These ghost bats are more dangerous than even the legendary were-tiger." I was anxious to leave the forest, so I asked, "How can we get out of here?" The elder replied, "You can't leave until the ghost bat is killed. It has trapped many others here before. Did anyone see its human form?" "I did," I replied. "It was a woman, but I only saw one. The other 2 I couldn't see. We must hurry and find an open area near a water source to set up camp for tonight," one of the elders suggested. We have nothing to lose by following their advice, I thought. As night fell, the elders placed a sacred string around our camp and began chanting incantations. One of them turned to us and warned, "No matter what happens, do not leave this protected area." I then asked how many ghost bats there were. 3 or 4, the elder replied, "But they have many. Forest spirits as their followers. These creatures crave human hearts, and the more they consume, the stronger they become. They've attacked several villages, almost turning them into ghost towns. The forest we were in used to be a hidden land, inhabited by women and mystical beings like Kinnari. The place had been lost to time. The reason you all wandered in is because fate has brought you here. You're all marked by destiny, but you haven't died yet. It's fortunate that we found you first, otherwise, you'd be dead by now." "But how did you manage to enter this forest?" I asked. "We have special skills that allow us to travel in and out of this cursed forest," one elder replied. As we were talking, a sudden, strong wind blew through the area, followed by the eerie sound of a woman's laughter. Looking towards the sound, we saw shadows of creatures, half human and half bat, swooping around. The bats were much larger than the one I had seen before, with wingspans of at least 5 meters. The elder who had been chanting stood up, drew a sacred knife from his bag, and stabbed it into the ground. As soon as the knife touched the earth, we heard a woman scream louder and more terrifying than before. What was even more horrifying was that blood began seeping from the spot where the knife was embedded. My soldiers were paralyzed with fear, unable to comprehend the sight before them. The smell of blood was overpowering. The elder then sprinkled holy water on the blood, causing it to evaporate into a black mist. Suddenly, we noticed red eyes glaring at us from all directions. It was the forest spirits. The elder instructed us to gather our bullets, which he then blessed with holy water. He commanded us not to leave the protected area under any circumstances and to shoot anything that moved. Several soldiers, upon seeing the red eyes, began firing wildly. Each shot was followed by agonizing screams echoing through the forest. I was terrified, but the elder kept urging us not to be afraid, insisting that if we survived the night, we would all make it home. As the night wore on, the red eyes gradually disappeared, and the dark shadows that had been darting around slowly faded. However, when I looked up, I saw something even more disturbing. 3 figures standing on top of a distant tree. They were too far away to make out clearly, but the moonlight revealed that one was a woman. The other 2 figures were harder to identify. They might have been men, but I wasn't sure. Suddenly, all 3 figures jumped off the tree and transformed into bats, to smaller ones with 3-meter wingspans and one much larger, with wings stretching at least 5 meters. They flew straight towards us. One of the elders fired a single shot from his pistol at the largest bat, and it let out a chilling, agonized scream before crashing into our protective circle. The other 2 bats retreated, but not before a voice, sounding like multiple people speaking in unison, echoed through the night. "I won't let you go." Then they disappeared into the darkness. After finishing, Pranang grabbed his sacred knife and walked directly to the significant spot. He used the knife to cut open the chest of the fat creature, removing its heart. He then chopped it into pieces, placing them in different parts of the jungle. He buried one part in the east and the other in the west. Afterward, they burned the remains of the bat creature to release the spirits that had been killed by it. Pran then turned to us and said, "You all can rest easy tonight. Tomorrow, we'll perform a ritual to open the forest and send you all home." I ordered my soldiers to rest, but I couldn't help asking the 2 Prans, "Will those vampire bats return tonight?" Pranbo reassured me, "Not tonight, but they will definitely return tomorrow." He also warned us, "Tomorrow, you must leave the forest before sunset. If you don't, you'll all perish here. The 2 of us won't be able to guide you out because we have unfinished business here. Head east, and whatever happens, do not look back under any circumstances." The next morning, the Prans performed the ritual to open the forest. I then ordered my soldiers to form a line and abandon everything unnecessary. We handed over whatever rations we had left to the 2 Prans and set off towards the east. I kept reminding everyone, "Do not look back." We kept marching, one step at a time, resisting the urge to turn around. Finally, we reached a road. Everyone was overjoyed, hugging each other with tears of relief. We waited by the road until a military truck passed by. We flagged it down, and everyone climbed aboard. Upon returning to the base, I reported the incident privately to my superior officer. He asked where our unit had disappeared to for several days. I was shocked by his question because, by my count, it felt like only 5 days had passed. Then he asked, "Did you meet 2 old Prans? Is that how you managed to get out?" I was stunned by his words. But there's one thing I still can't be sure of. Were those 2 old Prans really human? If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Mystical Tales, so you won't miss out on more eerie and thrilling tales in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.